Welcome to Looking Within, a podcast to help you quiet your mind, settle your body, and see God's presence in your everyday life. I'm Julie. I hope our time together will help you to feel more grounded, whole, and filled with a growing desire to be a conduit of God's love and presence to the world around you. Now, let's begin. Hi, everyone. It's so good to be with you again. Welcome back if you've listened to Looking Within before, and a special welcome if this is your first time. Every once in a while, I find it helpful to revisit what we're attempting to do with this contemplative podcast. What are we hoping will happen as we contemplatively look within? Contemplation is really just another word for prayer. At its core is relationship, and not the saying of prayers or the making requests to God, which are good and important in their own right. Contemplation brings us into a life lived in constant union and relationship with God. We are created with this ability to be in constant communication with the divine. Every moment, then, can become a time of prayer, an experience of relationship and connection. It's what the Apostle Paul had in mind when he advised us to pray always. Another wonderful definition of contemplation is a long, loving look at the real. As we stay consciously present to who or what is right in front of us in any given moment, not needing to compare, judge, analyze, or have the moment be changed into anything other than what it is, that's contemplation. It's an openness to what is. It's seeing our lives through the lenses of love, compassion, and abundance. All of these equally describe putting on the mind of Christ, as Paul talks about in Philippians 2. There is so much more joy and life in these contemplative, mind of Christ moments. So much more palpable connection to the divine, rather than the oftentimes felt experiences of stress, frustration, worry, and anxiety, most often driven by an ego-driven, me-centered approach to life. And here's the beautiful thing about this. You don't even need to read lots of books or attend lots of sessions or have a specific textbook to learn how to live contemplatively. You don't even have to sit quietly and in silence for long periods of time, though quieting your mind in some way is very helpful whenever you're relating to someone, including God. Once you understand what contemplation is and feels like, you can just observe your daily life. Be present to the moments, people, and circumstances that make up each day. And then practice putting on the mind of Christ, which sees with the eyes of love, abundance, and connection. Your life really is your spiritual practice. Just be present to your own life, and you'll find plenty of opportunities to practice living contemplatively. As I describe contemplation, it might sound kind of basic and straightforward, as in, just think these things, and in this way, and you've got it. But knowing our minds as we do, we know that this is very likely not as straightforward as we might hope. For me, I find that the older I get, and if I'm not careful, my ways of doing and seeing things become more rigid all the time, and more in the realm of scarcity versus abundance. With my mind and ego firmly in control, I can become more attached to the way I want things to be, and less open to seeing things in new ways and through God's eyes. And I hardly want to acknowledge the challenges and sufferings that I carry in my life, a list that seems to be growing a little longer with each passing year. It's depressing to see more suffering and potentially less joy in my life. 3 of the 4 Gospels in the Bible record Jesus instructing his disciples in the crowd about these very things, saying that if any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way, take up your cross, and follow me. Jesus is urging us to let go of our mind-centered and ego-driven way of living and to take up our cross. I bet you're carrying any number of crosses right now, challenges of mind, body, or spirit. Jesus says to pick these up contemplatively, to take a long, loving look at the realities of our lives, to take any steps we can to resolve or improve a situation, but then to see that we don't have the ultimate answers or solutions to life's challenges and issues, nor do we need to. And thus, with a mind that is emptied of the controlling nature of our ego, we see the realities of our life through the mind of Christ, through the lenses of love and compassion for ourselves and others. We lean into Christ's strength, feeling okay about our inherent limitations and weaknesses. And now we can get somewhere. Though circumstances may not improve much or at all, we can see life through a lens of abundance and optimism. We can see some lessons that can be learned, or even experience gratitude that can replace any bitterness or entitlement we feel as a victim of life. Do you see that if we can just slow down a bit, devoting even a little time each day to quiet ourselves and to look at our lives, that there is so much to learn from, so many opportunities to put on the mind of Christ, as Paul advises us? In the good times and the not so good, your life is your spiritual practice. Let's think about this during some quiet moments together. In this quiet space and time, I'd invite you to gently close your eyes and to take a few deep breaths in and out, in and out. Hear the sound of the bowl calling you to look within. Let it center you. Let it awaken you to God's presence. Practice looking at your life, seeing what's really there. Notice the areas of joy, things that make you feel strong, delighted, or filled with purpose. Notice the areas of suffering, things that make you feel weak, depressed, or defeated. Then notice Jesus standing with you. Can you pick up your crosses and let Jesus walk with you in all that you face? How does that feel? I'll be back with you in about 2 minutes. take one more minute to enjoy this time of contemplative prayer, this opportunity to enjoy relational time with Jesus. Release any thoughts now of your joys or sufferings. Just rest in the loving arms of Christ. I'd invite you now to take a few deep breaths in and out, in and out. Hear the bowl sound calling you back to this day. Gently open your eyes, remaining still for a moment longer. Your life is your spiritual practice, and it gives you endless opportunities to take a long, loving look at the real. This is our main purpose as we gather together to look within. We have the chance to practice observing our lives through a contemplative lens as we learn to be present to what the present moment brings to us. How helpless and hopeless we would feel if we needed to pick up our crosses in life on our own. But thank goodness we don't need to. The presence of Christ is always with us, doing the heavy lifting of any carrying of crosses that is needed. This brings us a freedom to just enjoy a growing relationship with Christ and to accept the standing invitation that is ours into the most loving and life-giving partnership we can imagine. Keep observing your life. Keep letting Christ moving closer. Keep practicing living your life contemplatively. And I'll hope to see you again soon. Thank you for making time for your inner self today, for developing and enriching your relationship with God through reflection and discovery. Whatever you've experienced, carry that with you in the coming days. You can find more episodes at our website, Gloria-Dei, that's DEI.com/lookingwithinpodcast, or subscribe through your favorite podcast app. If you know someone who might enjoy and benefit from this podcast, share it with them. Your financial contributions make this ministry possible. To give, visit gloria-dei.com/giving. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you next time.